Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we are here with my 91, 97-ish lowrider mini truck build, and we're going to be cruising over to the parts store because we're going to grab some parts for this thing. This is part 3. This is the last part of the Subaru build. This car was very important though because it opened up some new doors for opportunity for us on the channel for sure. I could either trade or sell this car. I'm literally like a day away from getting the title. I just got the wrong oil pan gasket, so I gotta go bring this back to the parts store, get the right one. I'm gonna move the car into the garage though, because as you can see, it is snowed finally. It's like December 5th. So we're gonna get this in the garage, let it warm up while I'm gone on my trip, and see if I got the right oil pan first off. And if I did, go get the right oil pan gasket. And I gotta pick up some more coolant, a couple other dumb things. So I'll see you guys when I get back and we're in the garage. First things first is get this thing up off the ground and check out the oil pan and make sure we got the right one. And we do for sure have the right oil pan. Okay, that's awesome. We just need to go get the right gasket now. So that makes me pretty happy to see. All right, and now we're off. Now we can go get what we gotta get. So excited to get over to the parts store. We gotta get the gasket for that oil pan, return that gasket. Looking like it's gonna be a pretty good, easy day. So right in here, they give you a bunch of little O-rings and things like that. We'll see what we need to change once we get the pan off. Step one, obviously, is to get the car off the ground. We did get the right gasket this time, so that is very nice. I do hate that they give you silicone to put on both sides of the gasket. It makes, I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't. At that point, you might as well just use the silicone. But I'm going to put a jack stand under here, make it safe, get under there, and see what it takes to get that oil pan off. Well, actually, we're going to drain the oil first. Why don't we start there? Also, I did want to say, unfortunately, I can't do anything about the exhaust back there. They didn't sell a 2.5-inch sleeve, so I'm kind of just out of luck there. I'm just going to have to tell the customer that buys this car, you know, what's going on with the exhaust, and I'll even offer to take it off for them so they can drive the car as is. But they definitely need to get that done, especially with it coming out underneath the cab of the car. It's not like a truck where your cabin's here, so having it end down here will definitely create the possibility of fumes coming up in your cabin, which you do not want. So definitely something to think of. Definitely a little bit of a slower video too. Like I said, this is just part 3. We're tying loose ends, getting rid of the car. And I appreciate you for checking out this video if you have. We're going to keep going on this thing right now, though. Oh, I also got new wipers. I got more coolant. So things are looking good. And look at that. Car's already leaking. So we're hoping that we can get rid of that leak once we do this. A little bit of a before. It is just caked in oil. I don't see it really wet anywhere else but here, though. So it just makes me think that this gasket is gone. Or, I mean, it needs a new pan. Look at this. Looks like it could be seeping through the pan even. Like, that is horrifying if you are the owner. So we're going to get this off there. Looks hopefully like it's going to be very simple. So the one on the car is looking like it's actually maybe a 14. Yep, okay. And it is it's coming off kind of hard. So I'm going to keep working at getting this off. Should come off a little bit easier now that I'm using a ratchet instead of a wrench. Okay, we got that draining out now. Now I got to figure out where the oil filter is. It must be up on this side or something. Oh, right down here. So what I'm gonna do is let this drain out. And very nice design actually that Subaru did it like this, with the hole straight down. Just kind of really lets it all drip out. We're gonna put our oil drain pan right under there and grab that, loosen that up, and just make sure we have the right oil filter as well, because I did buy a new one of those. It should be right in the car. Got quite a bit of stuff to do today, actually. I forgot we're going to do the battery terminals as well. Little terminal rings. All little easy stuff. But, honestly, what we're doing now is the hardest of it all. Yep, right here. Tiny little filter this thing is. And some 5W30 full synthetic. Even not being my car, I don't think it's right to not run full synthetic through anything, so. Especially when it's cheap. Let that drain out and get the filter off next. When I was real young, probably about 16, I worked at a Honda dealership as a lube tech, and I have just never struggled getting an oil filter off like this. Good thing this car is in the right hands right now. Got just like the perfect size oil filter wrench on there. We got to go up above and try to break it free. And once that's off, at least the oil pan section is done, but the pan bolts are looking a little crusty, so that's got me a little anxious. But no challenge too big or small for us, I guess. So see if I can get that off. Okay, it's off now. That was a lot easier once I was able to get up there. They just don't give you a ton of room to get at it. But yeah, it's going to burn a little when I start the car up after I do this change. But we're going to take this, take the little plastic cap off, and just make sure they're the same, which I know they are. And we're going to take a little bit of oil, preferably from where the car was leaking it, so it's clean. And oil up this little O-ring right here and get this back on, and you just want it hand snug for tight. Okay, so this is probably the most important thing that needs to get done now, and I'm a little anxious about it just because these bolts don't look great. Some of them look like they are gonna not want to come off at all. Thankfully, I have some strip sockets. I just pray none of them break, honestly. I mean, that's my biggest worry. But we'll fit a regular 10 on there, regular 6.10, see if they come off. Okay, I was a little anxious about this, but if you just get the socket right up on there, good 6-point socket, they are all breaking free pretty nicely. So I think it's going to go good. All right, we've gotten all the bolts out very, very cleanly, very happy with it. Now we're going to take some sort of pry bar, screwdriver, hammer, and tap this thing off. And I'm just going to pull it down slowly because I don't know how the dipstick is set up with the oil pan. So I don't know if that needs to come out or off or what it is. But I'm going to try to get this thing off there. This is inside the engine. It actually looks really good. Like, the oil's just dark, but there's no shavings, nothing like that. Nothing to even be concerned about. The pan just slipped right off, thankfully. So now what I need to do is take a rag and dry up all my surfaces and the surrounding surfaces, take a razor blade and clean up all that old silicone. And I think just the same with this, I'm just going to use silicone again. I'm not going to replace the whole gasket. Actually use the gray RTV they gave us and send that. That's how it was before. Like I said, it doesn't make sense to put RTV on both sides of your gasket and put it on. You can just skip the middleman and use this straight up. I was kind of second guessing that earlier, but now it's exactly what I'm going to do. Look at that. Look how beautiful this pan is. I mean, this is like, I bet you that was just seeping through there. Even if we take a look up, whoa, dropped you guys. If we take a look up here, it's not wet anywhere else around. So, I mean, I think this pan is really just seeping through. Essentially, I mean, I hit some serious metal off there. This thing is terrible. So we're going to drain this in our pan, get it out of here, clean up my workspace, clean it up with a razor blade, and I'll see you guys when I go put silicone on the pan. And now we have created this masterpiece, just gooped right up and ready to go on. All I got to do is, kind of star pattern the bolts, one here, one on the other side, one there, one there, one there, one there, and kind of tighten them in that order. So again, like I said, now that's on, we're going to go through, just kind of star snug these real quick. And then what I'm going to do after is just snug them up by hand. I don't really think, I mean, you can torque them down to the right spec, but I mean, it's just gasket, it's going to seal. You just don't want them too tight and you don't want them too loose. That is all. Well, and just like that, the hardest part of this video is done. The oil pan is now up there. I'm not going to put any oil in it. You really want to wait 24 hours, I believe. So I'll probably just come back out in the morning and fill it with oil and start check it. Make sure we have enough oil. Make sure it's not leaking anymore. But I believe that takes care of our oil leak, which is so sick. Makes the car just look so much better down here with that fresh pan, too, as to the old crusty one. So now we're going to go back up top and finish up the rest of the stuff we're going to do. So for very, very obvious reasons, there's no oil in the vehicle, so we are not going to start it. So I'm just going to lower this down for now. Watch out for our oil cap, just place it there. And we will not start the vehicle. I actually have to push it out of the garage, which does not seem so fun, but that is okay. We got some just cheap wipers for now to throw up on there. I didn't want to let a vehicle go that just like small things like this. I mean, they're not big, but they're important. These wipers do look better, but actually, I don't know. Yeah, we'll be fine. These just look better on the car. These ones obviously look cheaper, but it really doesn't matter because this car needs new wipers. And imagine just getting in a car you bought and you're like, oh, I already need this. So besides the exhaust, I think that's the only thing I'm going to let this car go. That and a TPMS light, which I might be able to reset. But basically just going to lift these up, flip them around, hit the little button and pull it off. I need 2 hands for this, I believe. Again, they may not be as pretty as, the more modern ones, but at least they're functional now. And like I said, when the new owner gets in their car and hits their wipers, especially being in the colder season, snow and sleet and all that stuff. They'll be pretty happy that they got fresh wipers. So I'm fine with that, but I'm also not trying to spend $80. It was $40 a wiper for the other kind. I think it was $30 for these. I mean, they'll live. They can ball out if they want to be bougie and get the better ones later. But not my problem right now. So that's done. That's awesome. I think next is just the terminal rings, which I got up in the car, which I have to open the hood back up, funny enough. All right, and here we go. So usually you remove positive first and then negative. Not that it matters all that much. Sorry, I'm trying to get the socket off so y'all are flying around. So we just want to break this free. Should be real simple. Should just be a bolt. And now this one is a 10 millimeter. So we're going to get our, look at that. Like that is ridiculous. Literally could just pull that off there. Ready? We're going to do it. Bam. The negative's disconnected. That easy. That is terrible. So we're going to get these off, though, and put our new ones on. So kind of a bummer. Like I said, everything is an extensive project. So the thread of this is just way too much. But I think realistically all I got to do is I have to bore out these holes a little bit to obviously fit our red terminal on the positive side. I'm going to clean up the battery. And I took the little plastic ring that sat in between here just so this can get a full clamp because this ground is all one piece. All I got to do at this point, I've cleaned up my all my surfaces with a little grinder, you know, make them nice and clean so we have no more issues. I'm going to install the ground first, get my bolt through there, tighten that down. And then I just got to bend these tabs over underneath the positive side to get it to sit flat on here. I bored out the holes so it fits perfect now. Plug it in, and then last is coolant. Push this outside, put oil in the morning, start check it. This thing is ready to go on marketplace. So we are outside now. Had to move the car outside before the folks got home. We're just going to tighten this up. You don't want to go too crazy. Just want it on there snug. These aftermarket ones tend to snap when they get too tight. Not a great design, but... all right. Yeah, that is not going anywhere. But we are full of coolant now. And obviously, I know I need to come out and fill this with oil. So I'm going to put this back on because we... nice. I'm going to put this back on, the oil cap, because we don't want any moisture getting in the engine. New day, new morning. Going to come out here. I don't particularly like leaving the engine without oil overnight. It kind of feels weird. But I guess it's the same as if it was all at the bottom of the pan anyway. So, whatever. Got to pop that hood too. Bam. Just got a couple tiny little things to do today, and this car is getting no more attention from me until it sells. I don't even know how this got dirty, man. I just cleaned the hell out of this thing. But, all right. Let's get this opened up. Let's go get our funnel, and it takes 4.4 quarts, it says. So we'll put that in, check the dipstick, give it a start check, and then check it again once more just to make sure. So we'll fill this beauty up. So first things first, I don't see any dripping underneath from oil, which is an amazing start. Let's start there. Kind of a funny thing that will give you a jump scare is, I guess if you have your key in your ignition or turned or whatever at any point during an oil change, I guess it triggers your low oil pressure or your whatever it would be, your low oil light. And so I just changed the oil and the car is completely fine. It's been fine. The oil light wasn't on. All I did was change the oil pan in the oil, and now the oil light's on. I spilled some, so there's some steam coming out of there. But anyway, so I guess there was a little trick to reset that light because I had to turn the key to turn the wheel and bring it over here and la. So it had me anxious for a second. I was like, oh no, like don't tell me there's something wrong with this car. It's been great, and like, you know, the couple weeks I've owned it, like it's just been a phenomenal little car. But I'll show you guys what we're gonna do to fix that. I'll put up a clip real quick too, so you can see the light. Oil pressure light. I don't know why that light's on. Anyway, I guess after watching some videos, I guess you pretty much have to manually reset the light. So you take your little fuse puller, you take that right here. You got a space. You got a little 10 amp fuse right here. We're gonna pull that bad Larry out of there. Still good. Plug it into here. Push this thing right in there. Now what we go do is we come over here. You want the key out of the ignition when you do this. Now you're going to put the key in the ignition. Should have started with that. Turn it to auxiliary. And it's going to make the oil light go out. Let it go for a few seconds. Now we turn the car off. We walk back over here when we put that little fuse exactly back where we took it out of. So we grab the little fuse and we put this guy. All right, now we're going to push our fuse back into the hole that we took it out of. Real small. There we go. Usually it should have a little white painted on it. Then Then we're gonna put our fuse box back on with one hand, hopefully. Maybe. I'll come back and do that after. Anyway, now we're gonna give it a start. Like I said, I guess it's just because I turned the key while there was no oil in it, is what I'm assuming. And now we should be able to start it without any real problems. Battery is definitely dying. And there we are. Our light is gone. So that's awesome. It's just TPMS light now. I'm going to let it idle for a little bit though. I don't know. I tried to burp it with the cap off and it just started leaking. So obviously that's not what they want you to do. So I'm going to let it run for a bit and let it just idle. This car needs to run. Charge up that battery. And yeah, everything is great. Look at that. Phenomenal. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go on a whim here and think that our thermostat is not opening. That hose is massive right now. So that is a little scary. I'm going to step away from this thing. And the car did not overheat. But that would explain why that line blew to begin with. Oh, there it is. Yep. Okay, now we have a stuck thermostat. That is great. I love that for us. Well, maybe this wasn't the last part of the video like I thought. We are a little deep into this car now, and it's a little saddening. So, I thought we were done, but we are not done. As I've just made so many videos talking about being done. I let the car idle for, I don't know, probably a half hour at this point, and these hoses are just huge. I could hear air moving through them. The coolant reservoir, I filled the coolant reservoir up. I shouldn't have done that. I didn't realize that it went all the way down there. So it was just kind of overflowing. And then I come over here and I'm touching this and I'm like, oh my, that is pressurized. The electric fans work, so that's good to know. But so this isn't an issue that it overfilled. It's just the fact that it was overfilling because obviously our thermostat is definitely not opening. And that was why it caused that hose earlier to blow with our heater hose. Like it was, no, that's got some pressure in it. So I'm gonna let this cool down for a while, come back outside, open up the cap once it's safe. You don't want to open that when it's hot. And looks like we're going to have to change our thermostat. That's the only thing I can imagine making this thing not circulate the coolant like it should. Part acquired, boys. Okay, so due to a lack of daylight pretty soon here, I'm going to get this car lifted up off the ground. We're going to get our jack stand in place. We're going to pop open the hood. We're going to take the radiator cap off. I got to do this like speed run style. A little bit of air in there still. No big worries, no big worry. Okay, so our thermostat, I believe, is right down here. I'm going to lift up the car right now. This is our new thermostat. So we are going to get that in there. I guess it opens up at 170 degrees. I did clean out this coolant can because we are going to pour all of our coolant in it and then reuse it, which is completely safe and fine to do because it's all brand new coolant. And then we'll start it back up, make sure there's no air in it, and everything will be pretty good. So I'm moving along. So last thing I want to do is have anything at all break while we are just trying to finish up this car. But I am going to try this. It's a coolant drain plug. Just a Phillips head screwdriver goes in there. So I'm going to let that go. And hopefully that goes back in after just fine. And then all we have to do is just drain a little bit of coolant right here. I believe this is our thermostat housing right here. I mean, it would make the most sense. Actually coming out great. It's probably going to fall in the pan, or maybe I can see it dripping. Yeah, there we go. All right, awesome. So I've got my hose off, and it looks to be that on that elbow right here, facing the block, facing the back of the car, there's 1, 2, I only see 2, but there's probably 3 10mm bolts holding that in. I'm gonna sneak my small ratchet with the 10 on here, see if I can crack that open and get that housing off. Okay, I got a light in here, and as you can see, right below there's a 10, and right above that little where the hose sits, you can see another 10. So kind of the same deal here. We're going to have to take a screwdriver, pop that old thermostat out, and take a razor blade and clean up our surface. That way I can apply some new caulking and send this up on there. So it should be pretty easy. Okay, this is a little crazy. I've never seen this before. These actually use a literal gasket. So I think I'm going to go pick up a new one. So essentially, like I was saying, you really don't need to take a razor blade and clean all that up. I guess the gasket on these is literally a little rubber ring that'll fit around our thermostat. So this is our thermostat here. I had to just waiting for the gasket to arrive at my house, and basically the rubber gasket is just going to go around this ring right here and plug right back into place. And then I'll tighten up my bolts for the housing, put it all back together. That makes it so I don't have to wait until, you know, morning for the for any gasket maker to dry or anything, which is pretty sick, actually. That is one big upside to this. The new thermostat is up in there. Now we just have to feed our elbow and put everything back together. I'll put on screen what temperature it is out here, but we have finally finished getting this all together. Now I just need to go up top, lower the car down, bring out my coolant, and pour it basically through a screen and a funnel, even though it's all clean coolant, and get it back in the car and start this thing. It is legit ridiculous. Everything is ice right now. It is so cold out here. I'm gonna start putting everything away, let this run, make sure the coolant burps again, but everything should be awesome now. This car should be running amazing at this point. So with Subaru, I believe once that blue light goes out, it means it's at operating temperature. That's what I'm assuming. I do know the electric fans work, which is pretty cool. It's just, I just spilled so much coolant all over the exhaust and stuff, and it is freezing out, so it's definitely a little steamy. But I got a lot of coolant to still go in there, so I just gotta wait for that to open up and just fill it right up. All right, she drank up the coolant once it went up to that operating temperature where it doesn't say it's cold anymore. So everything is looking pretty great here right now. As long as it continues to run great, I'm gonna jump into the daytime clips I took a little earlier today of me finishing off the video. So other than that, it's gonna run great now, and if it doesn't, I'll update you guys, but I think everything is all good to go. Yeah, everything's looking pretty good so far. A little bit of a, you know, you can hear a little bit of a rattle, and that's just because of the exhaust. But I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. No overheating light, literally just TPMS, which is so sick. So everything is going great. Seriously, I'm very, very happy with everything, honestly. I think this was a great learning experience. You know, I just got to mess with a box engine for my first time. That's pretty neat. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I'm gonna call it here. If you want to see some more car content like this in the future, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks so much for watching. Next time you see me on this channel, hopefully this car will be gone and we can go on to a much cooler adventure. That is for sure. But thanks for watching. Peace out.